Welcome back to our little video series on how to navigate your way around QuickBooks Online and how to use the different features. So today we're going to look at expenses. Expenses is an interesting little idea. Some people like to, when they get their invoice and their receipts, put everything in data entry. It's not my favorite thing to do. So there's a couple of things you can look at, and that would be either using Receipt Bank, or when you're out and about and you're paying for things. So this is not for your invoices that come in and you pay like 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, whatever. This is for things that you're paying for, such as your fuel, office expenses, things that you're going to pay at the time of the purchase. This is our category called expenses. Now, you can use a program called Receipt Bank, and that way you can take a photo of your receipts, and Receipt Bank will be happy to put those. You can then put those over into your QBO file, or you can download the QBO app onto your phone, and when you're out and about, for instance, you're buying some petrol, you can go, bring out your phone, click on the app, add an expense, take a photo, put the details of the expense in, and then it will come straight into the file and you'll be able to see that invoice or that receipt as an attachment. Or you can come in here and either go on your plus and come down and do an expense there, or you can do an expense in the other spot. And so we'll say fuel. We have a fuel card in there. We've paid it by the credit card, fuel, and you'll see that I've already entered one, which was to Coles Express. Don't forget your GST inclusive. If you're looking at that invoice, the total amount that you've paid, it will have GST inclusive, and you can simply save and close. So that's adding your receipt in. The other way you can do that is not to add your receipt in. You can just go straight to your banking. And if we're in credit card, you'll see here, for instance, they've gone to the coffee place treat that they need to fix their spelling on. And they've put it already to meals and entertainment, so that sounds cool. And they've selected GST on non-capital. That would be a subject for another day. And you can simply add that. So if you've got the receipt in front of you, you could stamp it that it's been entered, add it in the system, and file the receipt. The easiest way, though, the best way you'll find out about a program like Receipt Bank or using your QBO app, is that you'll actually have a photo of the receipt in the file. All right, so what about the bills that come in and aren't paid at the time? So we can either go to there, like I did with the cross, and say cross and bill, or we can go to in our dashboard, we can go to expenses, suppliers. All right, so we're going to add a new supplier, and we're going to assume that Officeworks is not in here, and we're going to buy some stationery because it's the beginning of the financial year and we all need new files. So we're going to add that in. We could also check their ABN under business identification number and verify. That will take you to the ABN lookup screen, and you can add the ABN there and verify that what they have on their invoice is exactly what is the same on the ABN register. Then we'll save that and we'll look up Officeworks in our little spot here, and there we go. Officeworks, brand new transaction, bill. Now, Officeworks has kindly given you an account and they will give you 30 days to pay it. So we'll put that in there. We'll change the net to net 30, and it will automatically change it to the due date. We'll say that invoice number is 25, and we have bought some office expenses. We'll say pens. Now, again, when you're looking at your receipt or invoice, always double check that you've got the correct thing ticked here. If you want to check, put the exclusive GST exclusive amount in, that's fine. Just make sure that you're doing it here. Usually though, especially on an Officeworks invoice, if it's all GST, it's just easier to have the inclusive amount. So we'll put $44, and yes, it's GST on non-capital, and we will save and close. So what we can see here is we've got our invoicing and the date that it went in. If we slip over to reports for a moment, and we'll go all reports, and we'll manage accounts payable. So this is everything you owe to suppliers. We can either look at supplier balance detail or the summary. It's easy to look at the detail and just make sure that there's a reason for those invoices being open in the system. For instance, we'll see here that Department of Transport, that wasn't owing to the 26th of the 6th. And of course, Officeworks isn't owing to the 5th of the 8th. So we would actually make sure we paid these two before we paid Officeworks. But this is a good thing. So when you've done your sales and you've checked you've done your bank feeds, put everything through, looked at your sales reports to see that who owes what money you are, then it's also good to jump over and see how much money you owe. So that's the advantage of putting in your invoices that aren't yet due into the system to see what's coming up and to make sure that you've got all your expenses covered. Because the best thing about cash flow is to make sure that you spend less than you receive. All right, coming back to the expenses. So we're going to pay our little Officeworks bill. And we can do that both ways. If you've decided to pay the Officeworks bill, you've gone online and it's come into banking, then you would simply match that expense. Like this one here, we can see that Jennifer Hargraves has actually been paid. So that would be cool to take her out of the owings, and we'll match that expense there. And again, you wouldn't look at what you're owing until you've cleared this screen for the bank feeds. In this case though, we're going to go back over to Officeworks, and we're going to pay them through the screen. So we're going to go to make payment. Oh, but Officeworks gave us a refund for some of the pens. They weren't working. So first of all, we might create a supplier credit. So Officeworks actually took $5.50 off that account. So we'll put it to office expenses because that's the account that we'd put it to start with, and our not working pens. And we're actually they've given us a credit of $4.40, inclusive of GST. So we're leaving our inclusive on, and we'll save and close. Okay, so you can see here we've got a supplier credit, we've got the bill to pay, but our total is only $39.60 because it's taken the credit off. So we can make a payment, and you'll see that it'll actually pull in the supplier credit and put it against the bill. So you always need to make sure that you are putting it to the right bill if you have quite a large supplier list. And here we've done our internet banking, we've paid our Officeworks bill, but we made sure that we only paid $39.60. And that's the other advantage, is that we can have it in the file and double check how much we actually owe, and we'll save and close. So the office bill is all paid. If in the instance that you have reoccurring invoices that are the same, you can actually come into the little cogwheel here and go to reoccurring transactions. You'll see in the file here there's a Vodafone, because we won't mention some unmentionable phone companies. Vodafone, there's an invoice here because basically that mobile charge is going to be the same, bit high, but anyway, same every month. So you can actually have that so that it comes into your data file at the same time every month. So when you go to do your report for your supplier balance detail, it will automatically come in here. All right, that covers expenses all the way through to reports and looking at your supplier balance detail. And we will next look at banking and some other reporting or bank reconciliations.